Good morning, everyone. This is a large room and a very large screen behind me. I'm excited that we're here today. And a very warm welcome to all of you to Digital Media Asia 2019, and an even warmer welcome to Hong Kong. I'm thrilled to see so many of Asia's media leaders here to discuss and support the future of news, especially at an extraordinary time for the city. And what is happening in the Hong Kong streets and in its chambers of power is a global story of significance and a fitting reminder of the importance of free and fair journalism, of which Hong Kong has a long and impactful history and for which the city is exceedingly proud. I want to sincerely thank the One Ifra staff and the Asia Pacific Board for their commitment to keep DMA in Hong Kong even during a very difficult time. And I want to thank all of you, speakers, delegates, our partners, for coming here, many of you against travel advisories, to participate and to be witness for the next few days. I am confident that it will be well worth your time. I'm also happy to share that there is plenty of optimism for the news industry across APAC. New media formats, distribution, and technologies continue to expand the reach and impact of the highest quality journalism. And a truly connected world is growing ever more hungry for trustworthy information and analysis, which means that each of us is now given the opportunity to build a transformative global voice. This year's jam-packed DMA program will inspire and motivate even greater conviction, creativity, and animation amongst all of us. We have also added a new brand marketing track to discuss the latest developments in digital advertising and content monetization. It has also been another year of excellence in journalism across APAC, and we are excited to celebrate the region's finest work and achievements at tonight's 2019 Asian Digital Media Awards Gala. Be sure not to miss it. Once again, I'm delighted that you are all here, and I do hope the next 2 days will be truly fulfilling. And now, on to our excellent opening session. Today's first speaker is a serial entrepreneur, an artist, and an expert on the next generation media consumer. He was co-founder of East West Artists, 88 Rising, and most recently Stampede Ventures, a production company for future-proof blockbuster content. I honestly have no idea what that means, but I cannot wait to find out. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Jaeson Ma.
Hope I don't trip, buddy. All right, so I understand that opening gives you no idea who I am or what I do, and it's probably confusing, but I'm very thankful for Gary because he's a longtime friend. We go back almost 20 years. And can I just be frank, Gary, and tell them what happened? So they needed entertainment to open the 9 a.m. session, and Gary called me urgently. I'm actually living in LA and also in Hong Kong. Very, very blessed to give this opening keynote speech to hardcore news, as they tell me here. I am definitely not hardcore. I am definitely softcore. And what that means is like just pure entertainment, nothing serious, nothing factual, but I will tell a little bit of my journey. And I think it's interesting, and do I just press this thing? Is it how you do it? Okay, got it. So, I want to talk about the next generation consumer and what it means to be a culture creator. A little bit from my own experience and how I grew up and how I kind of came to be where I am today. Next slide. How do we do this? Do you press it? How do you do it? There we go. Awesome. So what's interesting is I am part of this really weird generation called Centennial. Has anyone ever heard this term, Centennial? So Centennial is this weird generation born between 1977 and 1985. Anybody here? 1977, 1980. You're a Centennial, okay? And I was born in 1980, okay? Which means I was the tail beginning of millennials, all right? But it's this weird generation where you were born to a dial-up phone, right? And then you experience the transition from analog to digital, right? And so it's like this weird amalgamation of experiences because we're totally confused, because we kind of get what young people are doing, but we totally don't because we still understand what our parents are doing, and we're just like totally in between. And so I still remember I grew up on a dial-up phone, and I was just thinking as I was going to give this speech this morning, like, what was my own journey? So I remember the first time, I think I was about maybe 8 years old or 9 years old. I'm in San Jose, California, and my dad's like a really charismatic, like, Chaozhou businessman, you know? And I remember he comes home, and he pulls out this suitcase, and then he opens the suitcase, and he pulls out a phone out of the suitcase. You guys remember what I'm talking about? And he has this thing the size of a mango watermelon, right, up to his head, and he's like talking on this, and he's like, Jason, ho cool ah. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. I'm like, this is the coolest thing. I thought my dad was like Chow Yun-fat. I thought he was Chow Yun-fat, you know, straight out of like a hard-boiled movie. And then I remember the transition from there into junior high school. I got my first pager. Anyone remember pagers? Okay, and you know, you would text your girlfriend 143, I love you, right? 1778, I miss you. And from there, I saw the Nokia and then the Motorola flip phone. And who had the Motorola flip phone? Okay, and that was interesting because the cell phone actually started getting really small, and you're able to communicate, you know, kind of just on the fly. And then I remember the first smartphone for me was the Palm Trio. Does anyone remember the Palm Trio? All right, and I thought that was the coolest thing because when I was a kid, I just wanted to be an astronaut. Why? Because I just love pressing buttons, right? And I saw the Palm Trio, and it was just like this little computer screen. I would just press it, and I would hold it in a case on my baggy jeans and just like walk around and be like, yo, I got Palm Trio, what's up, right? And it was just really, really cool. All the way fast forward to what we all love here as business people was the legendary BlackBerry, right? And the BlackBerry was the greatest thing on earth. I'm still missing it to this day as I stand on this stage because I would be in meetings with my eyes closed and I could type essays under the table. And I think you guys understand how far have we come. From there, I remember the HTC One was the first Android phone, and of course, today, we have the iPhone. And so this today is the most powerful computer in the history of mankind, what I hold in my hand. And with this device, we consume information, we connect with a generation, we do everything on this one handheld device, whether it's consumption of news, consumption of content, social media. Even as I came here today, I sent my PowerPoint through my phone on an email to the backside that's going to put up this PowerPoint to you right now. And we've literally gone through a whole analog to digital exploration and adventure that I want to share now, kind of my personal journey. So again, I'm not a hard news guy, but I am a youth guy, and I am passionate about media, entertainment, and technology, and how to always reach the current generation. So my entire narrative has been about how do we constantly reach young people? How do we reach the people that matter the most, the next generation? And so when I started doing what I was doing, a lot of people have, you know, it's a very unorthodox journey. So when I was 7, my dad asked me, he said, Jason, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, Dad, give me a second. And I took out a piece of white paper, and I drew 3 pictures of myself. So the first picture was me in a business suit, in a tie, and a suitcase. The second picture was me with a French Pierre cap and a paintbrush and a paint palette. And the third picture was me behind a pulpit like that with a crucifix behind me preaching. And my father asked me, Jason, what is this in Chinese? And I said, Dad, on Monday through Friday, I want to be a businessman just like you. I said, Saturday, I want to be an artist. And I said, Sunday, I'm going to be a preacher. And my dad looked at me and said, he said, you're a smart aleck. And I never would have thought that over the last 20 years, I actually ended up doing all 3 of these different career journeys in ways that I never thought. I always say, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. And so what happened was my first job out of high school, and this all has to do with digital, this all has to do with consumer, this all has to do with the next generation consumer and how my narrative fits in. So I remember straight out of high school, I grew up in San Jose, California. I worked at an e-commerce technology platform that was making small websites for small businesses. It was across from Apple computers in Cupertino, California. Around that time, I started a hip-hop Bible study because I love hip-hop, and I was the first Chinese rapper ever. Just kidding. No. there was MC Jim before me. And when I started this hip-hop Bible study to get this kid off the streets, there was a rapper named MC Hammer. Does anyone remember MC Hammer here? Are we of that generation? Yes, the Seniors know MC Hammer. You can't touch this, too legit to quit. So MC Hammer started preaching at a church about 3 miles down from my house. I would listen to him every Sunday night, and I thought to myself, how dope would that be if I got MC Hammer to come to my hip-hop Bible study to perform and to preach to my kids and inspire them to get off the streets. So I chased him down for 6 months, get through a bunch of bodyguards, and I finally get to MC Hammer, and when I meet him, he asks me, Jason, what do you do? I said, well, I work at a startup in Silicon Valley making websites for small businesses. He goes, huh, interesting. He goes, I'm a venture capitalist. I invest in startups. He goes, you're Asian. You must know how to use computers. Come work for me. So I was like, what? I was like, MC Hammer, you got to be kidding me, right? So I literally quit my job. I started interning as MC Hammer's assistant. And I still remember we are in literally the Bay Area. In his office, it's 1998. And he goes, Jason, everything's Bluetooth wireless. Boom, boom, the printer, the computer, everything. He goes, I'm telling you right now, Hollywood's going down. The music industry's going down. Everything's coming from Hollywood to Silicon Valley. Rich content, digital distribution, 1998. All right? Talk about seeing ahead of his time. I thought he was crazy. He's like, Jason, we're going to make user-generated content with our camcorder. I still remember, it's a Casio camcorder. And I was like, this is so lame. And then I remember he took me because he had a best friend, a guy named Ron Conway, who started SV Angels, which is basically where we get the term angel investment. He introduced Hammer and I to all these companies that we all now know today, like YouTube. We were at YouTube when it was 5 people. I still remember. Steve Chen, Chad Hurley, they were in San Mateo above a pizza parlor, rats running around, and they were just uploading content to these servers, and Hammer was just like, what is this? And I'm like, what is this? We're at Twitter when it was like literally 3 people, Salesforce when it was 10 people, and literally at that time, we had no idea that these companies in Silicon Valley were gonna literally transform an entire generation from analog to digital. And it was at that time that I really got inspired, and I said, you know what? Silicon Valley is the future. Before we know today, the studios are no longer Sony, Warner, and Universal. The studios today are what? It's Facebook, it's Apple, it's Amazon, it's Netflix, it's Google. They're the ones that control content. They're the ones that control the eyeballs. He saw that almost 20 years ago. Where am I getting at? Around that time, this is how I got into my journey of Asian media entertainment. We were at CES in 1999, and I remember that he was at the ground floor checking out high-tech cameras. There's MC Hammer. There's a young director named Justin Lin. If you guys don't know who Justin Lin is, he's the director for Fast and Furious 3, 4, 5, and 6, and now 9 and 10. When he met Hammer on the ground floor, he goes, Hammer, I'm sick and tired of Asians being characterized as goonies and geishas and geeks and gangsters in movies. I want to make a movie that really shows the true culture of Asians in America. And he got Hammer's card. 3 months later, he calls him and goes, Hammer, I don't know what to do. I maxed out 10 credit cards. My parents gave me all the money they have. If I don't have X amount of money in the bank account tomorrow morning, literally, they're going to take away everything, and I can't finish my Asian American dream project. And Hammer looks at me. He's like, what should I do? I'm like, yo, you got to help my Asian people. And kid you not, Hammer walked to the bank and wired him the cash. We did not hear from Justin for about a year. It was about a year later, I'm in the office, and I see online, it says Sundance Film Festival, Roger Ebert gives Justin Lin, young Asian American director from UCLA, 2 thumbs up for this movie called Better Luck Tomorrow. That spawned Justin into Fast and Furious. That was the first movie for John Cho, who was Harold and Kumar, Star Trek. Sung Kang, he's a Korean guy in Fast and Furious that dies and comes back every franchise. You guys know that guy? And then on and on and on. My point with sharing that was when I saw the power of media, I said, this is the only way that I can change the perception of how the world and how the media sees me. And at that moment, I said, I want to make my mission about changing the perception of Asian culture through mainstream media the right way. So at that time, I literally told Hammer, I want to leave venture capital after 5 years, seeing over 100 deals. And I said, I want to go to UCLA to get my master's in film and television. Hammer said, go for it, Jason. I was ready to go. And then right when I was about to go, I told my Chinese pastor, my Chinese church in San Jose, I said, hey, I feel like God's calling me to Hollywood. He goes, no, that is not God. That is Satan talking to you. And I was like, what? And he was like, you're not going to Hollywood, you're going to serve in third world missions, and you need to go do God's work. I'm like, you're crazy. And so I go to Hammer, I call him Pastor Hammer, 4 a.m. in the studio. I'm like, what should I do? He goes, Jason, don't worry about it. Hollywood's always going to be there. If you go in the spiritual state you're in right now, those demons will eat you up, you won't come out alive. I've been there, I've done that. He said, go do God's work, build your character, serve the poor around the world, and if you go back to Hollywood, it'll still be there. So that was the best wisdom I ever got. I took that wisdom, and in 4 years, I went to 40 countries, okay? All around the world, starting schools, hospital clinics, education platforms, all you can think of in different third world countries. But why does it go back to digital? I remember in 2006, and I was really getting burned out at that time, going to a different city in a different third world country every week. And I remember I was in Southeast Asia, and then I came into southern China, and I remember I was in Shenzhen, and I started seeing kids with smartphones. And I started thousands of kids going into the club. And I started seeing, wait a second, I can't build brick and mortar schools and hospitals and missions fast enough to reach 500 million young people in Asia. And at that moment, I was like, you know what? I have to go back to digital. I have to go back to mobile. I have to go back to media. So that's when I came back to LA, and I invested in my first Asian American media entertainment company called PCA, which still exists today. And at that time, I didn't know how I was gonna do it, but I saw YouTube. And YouTube, this is right around 2007, 8, it was just popping off. And you started seeing the first generation of Asian American YouTube influencers. You guys know what an influencer is? Yeah? All right, in Chinese, they call them Wang Hong, okay? And they influence not by being Brad Pitt, not by being Angelina Jolie in a $100, $200 million production. They are influencers simply because they can create their own art, their own content with a mobile phone or a PC laptop computer at that time. And at that time, you had the #1 expressing YouTube influencers in 2007 to 2010 were Asian American. Does anyone remember Ryan Higa, Niga Higa? All right, you guys remember Michelle Phan, your favorite makeup tutorial, okay, who's now pretty much a billionaire, all right? Do you remember, Kev Jumba? All these young Asians said, you know what, Hollywood won't give us a chance, but you know what, YouTube empowers us to create our own content the way we want to create it, the way we want to say it, the way we want to do it, to an audience that will actually appreciate us. And at that time, I saw that, and I was like, wow, this is what we got to do. We got to invest in the next generation of content creators or culture creators. So at that time, I invested, and we managed a little rap group called Far East Movement. Does anyone know who Far East Movement is? Okay, they had a song called Like a G6 before the G6 got made, all right? If you ever flown that, they made the song. They sold 5 million less, 15 million records. When we made that track, we had no idea that it was going to blow up, become the #1 song on Billboard that entire year globally. It's the first time an Asian American rap group or any group hit #1. We put it on YouTube just as a test trial, made the song in 2 minutes, and in literally 48 hours, it had 6 million views, and we knew we had a hit. And at that time, that's when Jimmy Iovine and Cherry Tree Records gave us a call, and we signed them. I used to have a little writer, okay, that I used to pay. He's half Filipino, and I still remember when I made my rap track, Far East Moon was producing, and they're like, hey, Jason, your rap's good, but we need to get someone to sing on the hook. And I was like, who are you going to get to sing on the hook? I don't have that much money. He was like, I got this guy that sounds like Michael Jackson. Check out his MySpace. MySpace. And I was like, who? He's like, his name's Bruno Mars. So I'm like listening to Bruno Mars on MySpace, and I'm like, holy cow, this guy sounds like Michael Jackson. And I was like, how much? And he was like, yo, calls up Bruno. I was like, yeah, I need a deal. 4 tracks, $300 each, all right, for 4 songs written and recorded by Bruno Mars. Bruno doesn't return my calls anymore. All I can tell you is I made these songs with Bruno because I experienced and I discovered him on MySpace. And then there was a rapper named Jin. Do you guys remember Jin, MC Jin? Okay, he's a rapper of Hong Kong. He's like the godfather of rap in Hong Kong. We sent him on a one-way ticket to Hong Kong with Universal, not knowing if he would come back. And of course, he became who he became. My point is, that whole transaction and how that all happened was not because I had a record label and a record deal that could blow these guys up. It literally happened because of YouTube. It happened because of MySpace. It happened because these culture creators found tools that they could use for themselves and not wait for the hierarchy or the organizations to recognize them. They recognized their own talent and they put it out to the world. After that company, I started East West Ventures, and this was the time when I saw in 2011 with HTC Corporation, they said to me, Jason, you know, we're 100 million handsets worldwide. Our biggest markets are US and China. And they said, Technologically, we invented the first Android, but where we're gonna retain our clients is through premium content, and we don't understand digital content. So they said, Jason, why don't you come in? This is Cher Wayne, the founder of HTC, and her nephew Phil Chen is my best friend. They said, why don't you set up a digital media platform on HTC Android phones and basically leverage influencer talent on YouTube, create premium content, and market it to East and West. And at that time, that's when China was just opening up with their entertainment market before they started pouring billions into Hollywood. And at that time I said, okay, we have a moment here. If we're gonna bridge East and West, it's not through capital, it's not through big M&A transactions, it's gonna be through stories, it's gonna be through talent, it's gonna be through the mobile phone and premium short-form digital content. And at that time, we signed Wang Li Home, we signed Rain, we signed all these different artists that basically we brought over to Hollywood and Hollywood over to Asia. And it was around that time that I saw in 2015, new digital media brands begin to explode on the YouTube scene. So remember, YouTube started in 2005. 2015 is 10 years later, and now you're starting to see Vice, BuzzFeed, Tastemade, Vox. You're starting to see DayDayCooks. You're starting to see all of these companies begin to build brands on top of the new internet video consumption playground. And then you go to China, and you see Weibo, you see WeChat, you see Maopai, and of course now you see Douyin, TikTok, all these different things. And around that time, multi-channel networks started popping up. Maker Studios, Full Screen, and then you started seeing Huffington Post and all these other digital media brands publishing mainly video, not text, video to reach the next generation consumer. And that's when I said, wait a second. So there is All Def Digital, that's African American. You have Me Too, that is focusing, MITU by the way, Me Too, that is focused on Latin American next generation consumers. And I was like, why is there not an Asian digital media consumption brand that's reaching out to the biggest youth population in the world? Hello, 60% of the world's youth is Asian. That's 2.25 billion, all right? 100 million of them are Gen Z in college right now, all around the world, consuming content mainly on a cell phone. And at that moment, that's when I came with the idea of 88 Rising. And so if you guys don't know what 88 Rising is, we are now the biggest digital Asian music channel and music label in the world outside of K-pop. And when I came up with this idea of 88 Rising, I realized, like, if I'm gonna go to Shenzhen and I wanna market to young kids that ride skateboards under the age of 25, I grew up on Channel V in Hong Kong in the summer. It's gone. No one watches Channel V. Kids don't even know what it is anymore, right? MTV Asia, I'm sorry, it's legacy. No one watches cable. No one watches satellite. So I'm thinking to myself, if I'm Sprite and I want to reach out to kids in Shenzhen that like skateboards, who am I going to put my product against? 88 Rising. So I raised the capital, launched the company, and then we found the next generation, again, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Vine, a rapper named Rich Brian, which I'll get into in a little bit. What I want to get into right now is 3 main points of how we understand. But let's just look at this. The social media ecosystem today exists like this. You got Twitter, you got Line in Japan, you got Kakao in Korea, you have YouTube everywhere, ex-China, Facebook everywhere, ex-China. China side, you have those versions, Weibo, WeChat, Youku, Douyin, on and on, Xiaohongshu, all the different things, and Triller, which I recently acquired. I wanted you to understand something that's very unique as I've been doing these data searches and understanding on Gen Z. So what is Gen Z? I'm Gen Z. Yeah, I'm Gen Z. No, I'm Gen Y. I'm Gen Y. I'm so sorry. I get so confused. I'm Gen Y. So millennials are Gen Y. 1980, which is me, right, all the way up to about 1995, right? That's what we call a millennial. Gen Z is like your kids' friends, right? 1995 and on, right here, is the generation that we might call tweens or teenagers of today who were born between 1995 and 2010. Look at these stats. 75% want to convert hobbies to full-time jobs. Any of your kids say that? Like, Mom, Dad, I don't want to do what you do, right? I want to do my own thing, right? They want to be empowered. 72% of high school students want to start a business someday. It's very interesting. They're not the boomers. They don't want to work for GE. They don't want to work for, you know, whatever the legacy company is. They want to do it themselves. 61% would rather be an entrepreneur than an employee when they graduate college. They did this test literally in Korea about 5 years ago of what the next generation aspire to be. And let me tell you something, doctor, lawyer, engineer, investment banker was less than 5%. What do they all want to be? Blackpink, G-Dragon, They all are influenced by K-pop. They're all influenced by pop culture. They are influenced by what we call a culture creator generation. 70% watch YouTube 2 hours per day, okay? 3,000 text messages received per month. Very important, Gen Z prefers Snapchat and Instagram over Facebook and Twitter, okay? Facebook, if you're on Facebook a lot, then you're old. My mom's on Facebook 5 years ago. When my mom got on Facebook, I was like, I'm out of here. She's gonna be spying on me, checking out everything I'm doing. I am not trying to have my mom on Facebook, okay? When you talk to a young person today and you ask them, why do they use Snapchat? Why do you use Instagram? Number one, Instagram gives them ultimate reach to broadcast whatever they want to broadcast about themselves to the entire world. Snapchat is like Path. It's like for their close friends, right? Snap a little bit, gone in 60 seconds, and it's just fun, and it's for that close friend circle. But they're all about interaction, fast, interactive, getting what they want to get across, and doing it as efficiently as possible. Let's look at these stats. Gen Z encompasses the tweens and teenagers today who were born between 1995 and 2010. Here's my main point. How do they consume news? Guys, let's literally just look at this for a moment. 79 to almost 80% of how this generation consumes news is through social media. Print, non-existent. About to be non-existent. Everything in between, go and figure it out. But I'll tell you right now, I don't think I've read a newspaper ever unless I'm on an airplane, right? And even when I'm on the airplane, I'm still just looking whatever my Apple News or my Flipboard is giving me. 79, 80%. Let's look at a few other things here. Gen Z millennials, right? Gen Z, smartphones, millennials, desktop. It's interesting where they get this information. I can understand being a millennial because we grew up on PC and we consume a lot of our content on PC. I still consume a lot of my content on my iPad, which is like my new PC, right? But I think, to me, this is still about the same. I think Gen Z and Gen Y is mainly mobile, whether it's a phone, whether it's an iPad, whether it's a Microsoft, whatever book you have. And again, let's get back to the point here, guys. Television, yeah, parents' generation. This generation, barely consuming any television. When I went to Vietnam recently, I was so fascinated because over 70% of the entire country is under the age of 35. It is vibrant. It's like a giant youth group, okay? You go to Vietnam, everyone's got 2 cell phones. You go to every place, if you even ask them, hey, what do you watch on television? They look at you with a blank stare like, what is television? Okay? Vietnam, 100 million people, is the number 3 YouTube consumption country in the entire world. That's insane. Think about that. If my video goes viral in Vietnam, everyone in the country watches it 5 times. Very interesting. So I want to get into this. Gen Z, what does it mean to be a culture creator? Culture creators have created a new cultural currency. They value uniqueness, authenticity, creativity, shareability, and recognition. They want to be seen. It's a seen generation. It's a me generation. Social media equals self-expression. Let me impregnate that into your mind. Social media equals self-expression. This generation wants to be known, they want to be seen, and they're not waiting for anyone to make that happen. They're doing it themselves. And they want to do it in a way that is unique to them, that is authentic to their voice and their narrative and their personal story. They want to do it creatively in a way that others are not doing it. And they want to be able to be respected for that. We're in an influencer economy. So recently, I acquired this company with my partners called Triller. If you don't know what Triller is the #1 competitor in the US to TikTok. We are right now at 13 million monthly active users. We are at 2.5 million daily active users. We're over 60 million downloads. That's more than Bumble. Yes, I'm very proud of that. And Triller is very unique, and why I go back to this whole point of culture creator is because when I explain Triller versus TikTok, they're just 2 different demographics, okay? So let's just break this down. TikTok right now, that's over 1 billion downloads around the world, mainly from China and India, okay, are what we call 8 to 15-year-old Generation Z, okay? They are the ones that are the 1995s to 2005s, okay? They are in that tween stage. Triller, we are like basically 16 to 25 millennials or late millennials, right? It's very interesting. Second thing is this, is TikTok is mainly urban, not urban, but suburban, Anglo, young kids, white kids in America. Triller is actually mainly urban, African American, Latin American, cool Asians, I might say, and et cetera, et cetera. The way I break it down is that TikTok is Disney and Triller's MTV. Why is this important? Why is this important? We bought this company recently because we saw that all the influencers or culture creators were beginning to create on Triller without us paying them because they saw Triller as cool, okay? Whereas our competitors were paying them big money, they started getting on Triller on their own, like this guy. Does anyone know who this guy is? Raise your hand. Oh man, you guys need to get with the program. He is the biggest influencer on planet Earth. His name is DJ Khaled. If you ever hear a song and it goes, DJ Khaled, another one, that's him. Every song. Play the video.
Hey, yo, check this out. It's DJ Khaled. It's all about Triller. My album is available right now. It's called Follow the Sign. Let me see you make some dope videos. Let's do it big. Fan love. Let me see all the dope videos. My album available right now. Let's get it.
Okay. Why is this important? This one video literally got over hundreds of millions of impressions and views. We didn't pay one dime to acquire those views. He did it because he thinks Triller is authentic, it's cool, it's a platform that empowers influencers and artists and culture creators to create their own content in a way that they feel like is true to them, okay? Whereas, like I said, our competitors are paying guys like this 7 figures to post, right, on social media. Again, building an authentic brand is what I want to talk about next. So these are some of the celebrities that we have not had to pay that have come onto Triller. BTS, does anyone know who BTS is? Biggest K-pop band on the planet. Yes, some girl's going like this. Okay, she's definitely a fan. Billy Ray Cyrus, Cardi B, French Montana, you know, literally all the biggest rappers, biggest artists are coming onto Triller, and I really believe with what's happening right now, this company is gonna scale, that's my point, because of culture creators and influence. That's why I believe we're going to scale and why we're going to win. And we're going to be a very real competitor to TikTok because it's considered cool and the creators of culture are adopting it. Next slide. How do you actually build an authentic media brand? So again, like I said, Vox, Huffington Post, BuzzFeed, Tastemade, Vice, Nowness. These are American brands, digital media brands that I would consider, when they began their narrative and story, they were considered authentic. Why were they considered authentic? Again, I always talk about currency is cool. You have to capture cool. If you don't capture cool, you lose your currency and ability to monetize. MTV 20 years ago was authentic. It was cool. Why? Because they were breaking Radiohead. They were breaking Madonna. They were breaking, you know, Stone Temple Pilots. Whatever at the time. People looked at MTV as like, wow, it's a catalyst for culture creators to have a voice, and we're getting it first on MTV. But as MTV has progressed, what's it become? From Beavis and Butthead to what? Reality world, real life, okay? All the way to kind of the content that we see is no longer about music. It's no longer about creating culture. So guess what? MTV's currency has lessened and almost become non-existent, whereas a company like Vice, okay, has built an authentic media brand. How did Vice do that? It's very interesting. I never heard about Vice till I saw a short form, 15-minute YouTube video of mother effing Dennis Rodman, okay, going to North Korea. Okay, you guys remember that? And you see Dennis Rodman going to North Korea, every news station in this room, CNN, BBC, you all picked it up secondhand, okay? It was not brought to you first. It came to this company called Vice, and it's a guy with a beard that dresses like me with ripped jeans, with Dennis Rodman, with Kim Jong-un. And we're all thinking to ourselves, what? Who is this? And of course, you see the brand and you see the banner, Vice Media. At that moment, Vice captured authenticity, they captured truth, they captured the voice of the young people, they captured what we call a true, authentic media brand. And it's going to be up to Vice to continue to keep this narrative and this DNA and this ethos to keep it authentic, all right? And so again, I would also say that beyond just being cool, they're also digital focused. If you think about it right now, Vice started digital before it went to cable. Vox is digital, Huffington Post is digital, BuzzFeed is digital, Tastemeat is digital, DayDayCook is digital. It has to stay digital, it has to stay cool, and it has to stay authentic to who you are and your narrative. Next one. Okay, so this is my last point. We have to understand that if we're gonna understand culture creators, number one, and what it means to be a culture creator, if we're gonna understand how to build an authentic media brand, being digital first, and capturing, I don't say cool, but I would say authenticity, truth. Not hype, truth. The number three is we have to understand the new economy, which is influencer-driven and digital video first, okay? Influencer-driven, digital video first. I always tell people today that we live in an influencer economy. You can have a tech company, you can have a retail company, you can have a sports brand, but if you don't have an influencer attached to whatever your brand is, it's not gonna get the eyeballs, it's not gonna get the attention of the next generation consumer. And so it's influence, it's premium content, and it's, again, leads to commerce. I wanna show you guys a video clip of a prime example of how this happened for our company, 88 Rising. So this will be my last thing that I share, and then I'll be done. So 2015, we're launching this company called 88, and we're thinking to ourselves, we need influencers, we need to leverage YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Snap. In China, Weibo, WeChat, TikTok was not even out yet at that time, Douyin was not even out yet. And so we're scouting for the next generation of influencers. This one rapper named Dumbfound in Cape Town, LA, sends us a video clip of a little Indonesian rapper, and he's 16 years old, and his name is Rich Chigga, C-H-I-G-G-A, play on the word that you know. And he's wearing a pink polo shirt, a fanny pack, he's homeschooled, and he teaches himself English by watching Wu-Tang Clan hip-hop videos on YouTube, okay? And we see this video, and we're like, yo, is this kid for real? He sounds like a Slim Jesus, like a little version that we don't even know. And then he's like, no, listen to him. And we're like, yo, this kid can actually spit. He can actually rap. So then we start checking his back catalog, and we realize that this kid, starting at 13 years old, made himself famous in Indonesia and Southeast Asia through an app called Vine. Remember Vine? And he's just doing funny little Stephen Chow, crazy Moliu, BS content that's just super funny and mindless, all right? He makes this rap video for fun. We see it, and we're like, wait a second, there's something here. This thing can go viral. This thing can go from his 300,000 subscribers to millions if we package it right. So what we did was, we took that video, we got the biggest rappers in hip-hop today, from Ghostface Killer from the Wu-Tang Clan to 21 Savage, and we had them react to the video, and then this is what happened. Play the video. Parental advisory, explicit lyrics, just FYI.
Rich Chigga.
Let's get it. Yo, you gotta turn this one up.
Oh, it's my nigga.
Yo, you know this shit?
This is my fucking guy.
They dead ass serious.
Yeah.
Yo, this nigga got a pouch on and a Reebok pouch. I don't know what the hell he was thinking. He got a goddamn fanny pack on right there. Hell nah.
Oh, you fucking it up, bro. I like it. Oh.
This is the hardest nigga of all time.
He snaps. This is my guy right here. It's Rich Chigga.
He even found a way to say nigga without saying it. It's a genius.
You said when you come for a chigga like me. That was dope. I want you to send me the link to all these shits that you showed me, man.
It's all right. Yeah, the music don't match him though. But it's all right. It's all right.
This shit fire.
Yeah, he's
about
wild.
to sign this nigga.
Okay, pause the video.
Nah, this is the hardest nigga of all time.
Pause the video. This guy is Ghostface Killer from the Wu-Tang Clan. Okay? okay? I want you guys to fast forward the video
Yeah, this
to the
nigga
very
is
end.
hard. You gotta see the way he looks though. Like that's what makes it so hard.
Okay.
Nah, that's dope. That's dope.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I like
this
that.
guy
That's dope.
is
That's
one of
dope.
the top 10 rappers in the whole world.
That's
His name is
dope.
Ghostface Killer from the Wu-Tang Clan.
I'll get on that track.
He likes this song so much, he
Yeah,
just said he
okay,
wants to
yeah.
get on the song. We're listening to him and we're like, you want to get on a song with a 16-year-old from Indonesia? Are you serious?
cool. Nah, tell him I
And
see
no
you.
one on the internet believed it.
Appreciate that, but
3
yeah.
months later, we put
let me get
him
on that.
and him on a
let me
remix,
get on that. Yeah,
put
yeah.
it on YouTube,
Yeah.
it shut YouTube down,
get
became
on
the
that.
#1
You just
trending
blow it up
video
out there.
worldwide. Watch what happens here. Turn up the music.
Hit your motherfucking dope, man.
Who's half for your leg, bro? Cause we don't play those games. Friggle hit the deck, click, clack, take aim. Guns never jam.
All
We
right,
don't
that's
waste
enough.
rounds.
Too much information. TMI. Too many F-bombs, too many booties, I get it. But my point is this. We recognize an authentic influencer who has real cultural value and talent. We leverage every social media distribution platform to push this out to the market that would consume it. We got other rappers and influencers to also social media-wise share about this video. What you didn't know about that Rappers React video, it was featured on CNN, it was featured on Time, it was featured on all of your publications worldwide, and what's even crazier, that kid, Rich Chigga, is now named Rich Brian, has performed on The Tonight Show with James Corden. He's been on the cover of Forbes, 30 Under 30, Southeast Asia. He's a multi-millionaire. Just had 2 #1 albums in America to sold out crowds of over 25,000. And this kid is a influencer, homeschooled, couldn't speak English, playing Rubik's Cube in his kitchen from Jakarta. You know what happened last month? He literally had a meeting with President Jokowi, okay, face to face, and you will see Rich Brian's face on every bank commercial, every single advertisement across Indonesia. He is the most famous icon from Indonesia, I'm sorry, to the whole world in history. How? YouTube. How? Vine. How? Facebook, Snap. How? Douyin, TikTok. You got to understand the value that these influencers bring to us today. So again, to wrap this all up, I just want to share, hopefully you've had enough crazy entertainment at 9 a.m. from me, and you guys can now discuss real stuff, all right? But I'm telling you right now, this is the real stuff. This is what's happening right now. This is what your children, your children's children are going to be engaging the culture in the world with today, and it's going to be literally through the next generation that's going to be mobile first, video first, not text first. It's going to be through authentic brands that will represent and hear them. What's happening here in Hong Kong with those kids, they don't feel heard. They don't feel heard. There's not a media brand outside of South China Morning Post that is hearing what they're saying, what they're complaining, what they're angry about, and giving them ability to express it honestly. What does Bruce Lee say? The hardest thing for anyone to do is to express honestly who you are through your personality and your talents. Lastly, don't disregard influence. This influencer generation is what's going to lead your corporations, the NASDAQ, the stock exchange, culture, worlds, geopolitical arguments. That's what's going to bring it all together. And it's sad to think that Donald Trump is an influencer. He might be the most powerful influencer that we have today, and he has an AK-47 in his pocket called Twitter. Think about that. Thank you very much. Enjoy your day.